It's the Life After High School podcast.
All right, we're here. Matt, cheers, brother. Appreciate you coming on the show. I'm really, I'm grateful you're here in my little garage studio and that we're able to chop it up today.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Right on. So I've been a fan of, we have mutual connections, right? And I've been a fan of watching kind of the progression from your swim, right? Your big swim. We'll get to that and the training and stuff as kind of the show progresses. But it was really cool to see what you did. But what was even cooler for me was to hear from our mutual friends and connections that what you went through to get there. And that was almost more impressive to me than the actual feat itself. But so like once we get to that, like I'm really excited to hear and I'm really excited for everybody else to hear. So I'm stoked, but kind of take us through your journey like post-secondary school, start from there and kind of take us to where we are now.
Sure, I'll talk real quick high school because why not? But
nice.
I want to start with that I'm not a natural athlete at all. In high school, I was like kind of a heavier set dude. The only sport I played in high school was curling. So I was not an athlete, you know. So all those people say I'm not athletic. It doesn't mean you will always not be athletic. So I want to start there.
Nice.
I was kind of a heavier set guy. If I had to like choose two words, I was kind of like the class clown and the brain, kind of a weird combo.
Interesting.
It's not
unique, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a typical combo. I think like I have a lot of natural intelligence, and so I was bored, and then humor was my way. Just doing shenanigans was my way of like staying entertained, you know.
Yeah.
So my mom always says like every strength has its weakness and every weakness has its strength. So because I had like a natural talent, I think I got lazy academically because I didn't have to work for it.
Right.
Where vice versa, the athletic side of things, I had to work for it.
Double down.
It did not come naturally to me at all. So it's kind of cool to have those kind of both.
Yeah.
And then I guess post-secondary, I studied in physics. I started in general science. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had an awesome high school physics teacher, and I was good at it. So I'm like, why not? And my first year university teacher in physics was also awesome. So I'm like, let's do physics. And kind of just threw myself willy-nilly into there, and I loved it. Yeah.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Right on. So do you have any of that bit there? Do you have any moments when you say shenanigans that stood out to you from that time period?
For being in high school?
Yeah. That you can remember, because everybody's got back when you were in high school.
Well, I think, yeah. Okay, well, some maybe just fun. Like, when I come home after curfew, I'd always get busted by my dog.
Your dog?
I would come in, like, I was a little bit of a rebel. Like, I was a good kid. Like, I didn't do anything too bad. But, like, I was definitely a little bit of a, party guy. And I would come home after curfew, and then my dog would start barking, wake up my parents, and always get busted.
No.
So I was like, shit, like, how do I break the system? So I'd come back before curfew, and then I would put the dog in my car and sneak back out.
You would take your dog
I'd take the dog with me. And bonus, my dog was a wing woman. This is Quincy was her name.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so then when I came back, there's no barking.
That's brilliant. And you don't have to worry about like your wingman or wing woman like going off with somebody in the middle of the night.
Exactly. And then the girls would be like, oh, dog, like, there you go.
Like, yeah, it's mine.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, that's epic.
So maybe that's a silly one that pops in.
That's pretty funny though. Now, how did that kind of transpire, leave, like now, like after physics and then doing your like degrees, where did that kind of take you? Like you're a teacher now?
Yeah, so you'll see I've jammed a lot of life in a short amount of time. Like I've done a lot of different things. I've lived in a lot of different places. So I did undergrad in physics. What I studied, my honors project, I squished things between diamonds.
Nice.
So I'm kind of like, I think one of my biggest weaknesses would be balance. So I'm kind of drawn, even in my physics days, I was drawn to the extremes, so I studied extreme pressure. I'm kind of just, there's something that is alluring from the extremes to me.
Yeah.
And obviously with that, balance is my weakness. I kind of go all in, full intensity when I do things.
And it's hard to do that with most things. You have to, in order for you to commit fully, you have to commit fully to one thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I crushed things between diamonds, which was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. And then I did grad studies at McGill.
Nice.
So I did experimental condensed matter physics. But basically, condensed matter, just to put it really simple, if you have like a pencil, so your pencil, like your lead, that's, or not lead anymore, but graphite, that's carbon.
Yeah.
It's pure carbon. And then diamond is also just carbon. So your diamond and your pencil is the exact same thing, except the way the atoms link up determine the properties. They're totally different.
Interesting.
So that's kind of condensed matter. You're like kind of studying the state of matter that leads to those properties.
Whoa. That's cool. And you can kind of, now that can pertain to anything that takes up atoms, or that is formed of atoms. Which
Exactly. So the way the atoms are linked up, even if it's all carbon, even if it's all the same type of atom, the way the atoms are linked up will totally change the physical properties of something. Mm-hmm. So diamond versus graphite, same thing, you know? And then when I was doing pressure, I was studying different states. Like some of these states exist only at high pressure, and then when you take away the high pressure, they go away. Or like diamond is actually, if I grabbed peanut butter or anything with carbon in it, if I grab peanut butter, let's say, it's got some carbon in it, and I apply a lot of pressure and heat, I could turn peanut butter into diamond. Like I could make some diamonds out of that with time.
It's just a matter of finding that right balance of the amount, or the right amount of pressure.
Pressure, heat, time. So it would be the carbon in the peanut butter that would become diamonds.
Like,
and it's called metastable because if you take it away, the pressure and heat, then it stays that way. Or it's not metastable. If I take it away, it goes back to what it was.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I kind of studied that.
Man. No kidding.
And then at McGill, I kind of continued in the extremes, but instead of doing extreme pressure, I did extreme low temperatures.
Jeez. Like, similar idea of like the way you test things, except instead of with pressure or extreme pressure, it's extreme cold.
So I was studying the electrical properties. So like how things conduct electricity at really cold temperatures, because things just behave differently in the extremes.
Right.
So our fridge went to 15 millikelvin. Mm-hmm. So the absolute coldest you can go is 0 Kelvin, which is about minus 273 Celsius.
Yeah.
So our fridge went down to 0.015. So really close, and it was sample size was like a pinky nail, like very small thing, and then just things behave differently at those really low temperatures, and so we were studying like the electricity at those low temperatures.
Oh, now McGill's in Montreal, eh?
Yeah. So I went to Ottawa, and then I went to Montreal.
Is that how many cities you live in? Like where have you lived?
Too many to count.
Yeah?
Ottawa, Montreal, Chicago, New York, Mississauga, Cambridge, Kitchener. I've moved like a lot of
like down between U.S. and like that Ontario region, but of like U.S. Canada.
Ontario, Quebec, Illinois. You know, I've moved around.
Why?
You'll see. I kind of just life took me that way. Yeah, you'll see. I told you, I got a lot to tell. You know, getting there. So that was McGill. Was low temperatures. I think I was all in on that too. I think the purpose at that point in my life was knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want knowledge. And I kind of went all in on it. And I had a very demanding supervisor, and I'm a very demanding person on myself, and that's just a bad match for me. Because I will try to meet and exceed ridiculous expectations. At the time, I was young, so I didn't know how to stand up to a supervisor, you know.
That's tough.
I kind of burned out hard.
Kind of stressful, yeah. Fatigue, for sure.
And, like, I realized that I didn't want to be there anymore. I had a conference in Italy, so the conference was cool. But I was just kind of burned out. And, like, it was cool. It was this conference on there was, like, 3 Nobel laureates there. So there's 3, like, big honchos in science, you know? And I got to meet them. And at the time, these were, like, my heroes. Like, I want to be that, you know? Like, that's, like, because you'll see, like, I'm an all-in kind of guy. Like, I want to be, like, if I'm going to do science, I want a Nobel Prize. Like, I want to just give her, you know?
What's the highest achievement I can get doing this? That's my goal.
Yeah, that's a bit me, which comes with its strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, exactly.
But I got to meet my heroes, and, like, I was underwhelmed. I kind of had like an existential crisis.
Oh, you're not supposed to meet your heroes, bro.
I know.
Oh, this is why they tell you.
I know. So I was like, I had a crisis of like, I met them, and then I was like, this isn't who I want to become. You know?
Yeah.
Which was good because it set me on the path I'm now. But it was that was the hard bit. So I didn't really struggle through high school. I didn't really struggle undergrad. Mead hit me like mid-grad studies. And it was hard because I kind of had a full ride. You know, I had a full scholarship.
Nice.
Everything paid for.
Okay. That's amazing.
I was publishing articles, you know. Like, exteriorly, I had everything that I was working for. And then, like, I noticed this problem. I was depressed, you know. In Europe, I was, like, sad, which I'm like, okay, this isn't cool. Like, usually if you're traveling, you're supposed to be happy.
Yeah.
That's when I noticed was a problem was at that conference. And when I got back, I felt totally trapped. Because, like, how can I walk away from these huge scholarships?
Yeah.
You know, I got skipped. They skipped my master's, so you can go straight to your doctorate. Like, I was getting, like, recognition. I was, you know, getting success. And I felt trapped. So obviously, I kind of just broke down a bit, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Full honesty, like that was a rough transition out of there. So I left there, and I was kind of like broken for a year.
And that was how long the transition was a year, roughly? Or?
Yeah, I left Montreal to come back to my hometown to be with my support system.
Yep.
But that was a rough year. I was kind of just... I was working like huge long days every day of the week. No, all work, no play. Like I said, there was no balance there.
Yeah.
So that was a recipe for disaster. And eventually, you're young, you don't think you got limits, and I hit them, and I hit them hard.
Yeah. Oof.
But that's kind of my personality. It's the phoenix. Like you're fiery, and then like go to ash, and then the cycle restarts.
Yeah.
That's kind of my life cycle a bit. So I kind of don't want to go there if I can help it, but
right, it's probably it's one of those things that I found similar but different, obviously, experiences with school. When you get to everybody has that. I think multiple experiences, especially in men, where you go through those moments of okay, I'm go because you want to see how far you can push yourself, whether it be athletic or academic, or see how like you just want to keep working, keep making money, and try to generate, and like you go to a point where like you burn out and you like sleep through 2 days, or you just feel like absolute crap or absolute like shit, and you get up one day and it's just not the same, and then you start reacting differently to things. And that's, I think, that specific example of like reacting differently to things is where I noticed that I hit my walls, when certain things start to bug me that don't typically do, because I'm pretty like stress-free, easygoing, just hey man, like we don't get to control much, so control how you control your behavior, and you're laughing the rest of the way. So I try not to put too much stress on a lot of things, but then I find little things stress me out when I get to, and I'm like, that's when I kind of know it's tough, right? Because there's a self-awareness that needs to come with that. And if you're immature or young, like we're young, but we're like, took me a while to mature to a point where I was aware enough to realize that. And I think that's something that a lot of us hit. But what I want to know is, when you were in, like, you went to all expenses paid to Italy, right?
Yeah.
For that trip. Now, did you ever go where you funded the trip? Like, you ever went?
No, I got my flights paid, and I took an extra week and traveled afterwards, because like everything's paid, so I might as well take my vacation time there. And I came back.
Flights, yeah.
So everything's covered, and then I took an extra week, so I kind of visited Naples. I visited
Sick.
The Amalfi Coast, and then I headed out to Spain. So it was a good trip. Like, I got good memories, but I was. That's when I realized I was depressed.
Yeah.
There was moments where I was low, and I'm like, I shouldn't be feeling this low.
No, we're
in this sort of environment of new, exciting
I'm
things.
in Spain and Italy, and I feel like why?
I felt totally trapped, and then I did walk away from it, which was tough to walk away from.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's one. I asked that specifically because I went on a 1 week all expenses paid trip, similar through the work I was doing at the time, but I also paid my way to go to Italy the year before. Dude, how different is it? And maybe you can also attest to this, or see the extremes of it, but how different is it of a trip in terms of where you're eating, where you're staying, when somebody else is paying versus when you're paying?
We got some pretty luxurious treatment.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
sure, yeah.
5-star restaurant,
you're definitely
6
right.
bottles of Prosecco,
yeah,
and
versus
wine.
staying in hostels the second part.
There's like 9 other people in my bed, and I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, we were... that's a good point, actually, because the paid part, like, we were up in the mountains at this conference where like there's like olive oil like, that they're being made, or wines, like all that stuff.
Amazing.
Nice hotel.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I was definitely like bumming it in the hostels and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
It's a good way to do it. Like seeing both sides of it is very, dude. It's hilarious. It's so funny because there's so many different times where I guess every single day when we were at this conference. So
what were you conference for?
So I was working at an architecture firm at the time in Sudbury, and they had one representative from each firm. So Centura Tile manufacturer is worldwide. I think somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but is based in Italy, where that's at least I know you think I'd know at this point, right, being there, but they manufacture the tiles there, and they supply them, or they send them to the suppliers here, right? And they distribute them. Well, Centura was is a supplier of the manufactured tiles that happen in Italy, so the different brands, and they needed one person representative from each firm to go. So I just sent an email, I was like, hey, like, look, the boss, I was like, yo, Kate, like, what do I need to do to go? And they're like, just respond. I was like, no! So I respond, I'm like, here's my passport, all that good stuff, and
nice.
I went, and so different from when I went a year before with my buddy. We were going like tours, but there's each region has like a wine of like a red and white prosecco, a red and white wine of the region, right? Not of the country or the city, but the region, right?
The wine's cheaper than water there.
Oh, it's ridiculous,
yeah.
Right? So they're like, oh, here. I'm like, I'm gonna get a glass of water. They're like you said, you say that. I'm like, yeah, it's true. I never had water there, but it might be why the wine tasted so good.
Yeah.
But, so there's like, 1, 2, 3, 4 glasses, right? White and red prosecco, white and red wine of the region, and then it's whatever you like that stays at the table, and people are just always refilling it. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm 9 glasses in. We haven't even had our main course yet. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm going with my buddy, and I'm like, yo, how much? I'm like looking at the menu and the prices. Nothing's getting dropped down. It's just very different. Yeah. I'm wearing this exact hat there, and then other place I'm wearing like a button-up
been a while
jeans.
for a while then.
Yeah, it's been a while. Same with the water bottle, everything. It's been it's done miles with me, that's for sure.
Nice.
So very, very different. But leaving that experience after that year of kind of going back, finding roots, then what happened? I just kind of
grow out
of that.
It was a rough year. Coming out of my grad studies was a rough year. That's when I really hit the hard times, you know? Mm-hmm. And I wasn't well enough to work. Like, I was burned out. Like, I was a husk, you know? I was just a shell. So I started working in a soup kitchen of all places.
Oh, wow.
Because I started volunteering because I wasn't well enough to work. And the perk of the reasoning behind that was if I'm not well, I can just leave. I can get fired, right? And they just like my time, you know? So everything's given, so they can't be like, you're a bad employee.
That's awesome.
So I thought that was a good way to transition back to work. And 2, like, I think that's something that really lacked from my physics days. I've always volunteered, and I kind of cut that part out when I was doing physics. You know, I've always kind of been involved in something. I like feeling valued. I like I have meaning and purpose. I like that to feel like I'm helping others. You know, so giving other people food that don't have it, that's pretty concrete. You know, whereas research is not so concrete. You don't see the effects of what you're doing necessarily.
Right. And more often than not, I feel with research work, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it takes a while to even see the results. For
sure. Yeah, I was having like trouble with my equipment and stuff, and like I was kind of in a basement, like no sun. You know, it's just not the best environment for me.
For sure.
And I've learned I was way too social to do what I was doing.
Yeah, you seem very extroverted.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it was a bad fit. It took me a while to realize it, and it took me till it was too late. Hopefully, now I can most of the time catch myself before, but
nice, right on.
Not always, but
Yeah, we're the bane of our own existence. With that kind of stuff for sure.
So soup kitchen was the way to go. I volunteered Blue Door Soup Kitchen here in Sudbury.
Oh, nice.
And I was there for maybe like a year or 2, and then gradually I ramped up till I was working there pretty much full time, and I was like, okay, now I'm well enough to work,
Yeah.
So I started working at Science North, and then I was like, okay, well, just kind of ramp up from soup kitchen to Science North. I'm like, what now? What do I want to do? And I loved teaching. I taught the lab courses at Ottawa U, and I taught the lab courses at McGill, the first year lab courses or second year lab courses, and I loved it.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's go to teaching, because why not? So I didn't really choose teaching. I was more like, what the hell am I going to do with myself?
Yeah.
Let's go teaching, and it ended up
working out.
It ended up working out. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the main reason I left, like, I was happy at the soup kitchen, but the main reason I left was, money. Like, I'm not making money. You need money to live.
Yeah.
That's just kind of the reality of things. I'm like, oh, too bad I couldn't do that as a living. But that kind of thought stuck with me. Mm-hmm. So I went to teach down south for 2 years, Cambridge and Kitchener, nice. Mississauga, that kind of region. Yeah. So I was there for 2 years. And then you said, what brought me to the States? This is when people will go, what? When I tell, I was actually a monk, a religious brother.
No way.
So, yeah. Not quite a monk. I say dude, man, because no people know what a brother is.
Start the car, man.
Yeah. I'll definitely talk about it. I don't want to focus all on this, because when I bring that up, that's all people want to talk about, because it's so such a different world for them.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to spend some time there, but I don't want the main focus.
I get it. Yeah, for sure, man. It's your episode, right?
For sure. So I became a Carmelite brother. So Carmelite is it's kind of a spirituality. It's part of It's like Franciscans, like it's a Catholic order, but they're called the Carmelites.
Okay.
So that brought me to Chicago.
Yeah.
And then with them, I studied philosophy for a couple of years and like meditated and like.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What was that like?
So it's definitely like, I don't know.
In that environment.
It was definitely a way different environment. I liked the first year in Chicago. I liked it a lot because it was social once again.
Yeah, sure.
I was at school. I was studying. So that was very much good. I learned how to meditate, which I've kept that. I still meditate like I don't meditate long, but I meditate about 5 minutes a day. Mm-hmm. I've got like different types of meditation.
Nice, which we'll get to.
Sure, yeah, I can talk about meditation, yeah. So that kind of stuck with me, and my philosophy studies really stuck with me. So I'm still draw from that, and I have no regrets having done it. The next year was in New York. The first year, I once again worked with poverty. So we basically had like a giant, it was called St. Vincent de Paul Society. Yep. So they have like the furniture store, but we had like just a huge pool of money that we got decided to do with how to help people and what to do with it. So we'd like we'd have meetings and vote on stuff like, can we pay this person's rent so they don't go homeless? Can we pay this person's heating bill so it doesn't get cut?
That's amazing.
Can we pay this person's lawyer fees? But it's tough because you had to say no to people in need. Like you had limited, finite amount of money and you had to decide where it went, right?
Yeah, and people's rent isn't like $20 here,
well, like,
$40
we didn't
there.
want people to become dependent on us, but sometimes 1 to 2 months' rent is the difference between homelessness, right?
It's a huge difference. Yeah, they could be in debt and trying to pay it off, and just the timing.
Sometimes a one-time help will save you from homelessness. It
and
really
it's
will.
trying to find that balance. Right?
Yeah, for sure. So like Chicago, some poverty, saw some really like, I won't names or places obviously, but
for
like,
sure.
We would go into home to assess the situation, assess the needs, and like I'd go to homes and like no names, but I saw like a mom who had 5 boys. She was sick in the U.S. Like if you don't have health insurance, you're done.
Yeah,
she had 5 boys. She was bedridden, like, and she had 5 boys. And nobody helping her out, you know.
Oh,
so they had no clothes, no beds. Like it was just a bare apartment. That was it, you know. So we hooked them up with what we could.
Yeah.
We gave them some beds. We gave them clothes. We gave them furniture.
Do what you could, yeah.
Do what we could, you know. But you can't. Like you don't want people becoming dependent on you. People want to cling to you, like they like.
I can only imagine too in that state when they're like, oh. They see a helping hand, they don't want to let it go.
Exactly. Like if you're drowning, your instincts to like cling on, and
100%.
But then if they become dependent on us, we're not really helping them either, right?
Right.
So we're kind of trying to give them the help they need, so that they don't become dependent on us, but also like to ease up the burdens that they had. You know, It was me and a bunch of old women. Like I was the only dude, and I was like the only guy. I was the only guy below 60, probably, or maybe I should say 50 just to be safe. But it was me and all of them, you know.
That's so funny.
And I still got one of the guys I made friends at school in Chicago. His name's Will. He was a Franciscan, so he left too. And now I play D&D online with him. So
that's hilarious.
Connection.
That's
epic. Still got that connection
man.
from there. Still maintains the connections. You know.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
And still play D&D with him.
Yeah, totally.
Dude, that's so funny. Right on.
And then the next year I was in New York. That's called the novitiate. So that was a little bit more intense. Mm-hmm. And you don't have much going on. It's kind of like you have to focus on yourself. It's kind of the
novitiate.
So like the process is you're pre-novitiate, like you're a candidate, so you kind of visit to get to know them. You're pre-novitiate, and then you're a novice, and then after you're novice, you take your vows. So I left just before I finished my novitiate, but I didn't take my vows. I left before taking vows.
Okay.
So you take 3 vows: poverty, chastity, obedience. So 3 vows you take. So it's a different world.
Each cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, or each phase or chapter of development, I guess.
You're like living them without taking them to see if you can do it, and then you take temporary vows. So you take a vow for a year, and then you take permanent vows after you've done it a few times and they think you're ready. It's kind of a big process. So I left early-ish on, but still draw from it a lot.
That's awesome. Now, what I want to know then, with that being said, in that time frame from your life, right? Like the time in the U.S., going through being, as you said, a monk.
I wasn't technically a monk. Like there's like
the more
a monk is like you're in a monastery. I say dude nun because like people know what a nun is, but they don't know what the dude version is, which is a brother.
Yeah, okay.
So I say dude nun just because like.
Okay, so your time being a dude,
kind of like a monk, dude nun. Yeah. So just the slang, you know. It's a different world. Like I don't want. That's why I don't want to go too into it because I could easily spend a lot of time talking about that, right?
Right.
I don't mind touching on it, but.
So my one question then.
Sure. Yeah.
What was, at least about this, from that time period being a dude nun?
Yeah. Carmelite brother is the other.
Carmelite brother.
You want the technical term?
That word didn't resonate with me right away, so it went over my head, unfortunately.
Sure.
But Sure. So, your time being a Carmelite brother, you had probably a crazy amount of experiences and challenges, but I'd like to know what was the biggest challenge you faced during that time period, and then your favorite experience from that time frame. We can break those up.
Yeah. So the toughest challenge, we'll start with I guess the best was, once again, I think the studies. You know, the people I met.
Yeah.
I made some really good lifelong connections there. And the studies, my philosophy education, that really stuck with me because I'm an academic, and so I got to study for free. Like, they paid my studies, which is cool.
That's
right?
so cool.
So I got philosophy studies paid by them, and so you take a vow of poverty, but you don't have anything, but you don't want for anything. You know, so you're not like poor. You hear poverty, you think like you're living with nothing. It's just like your simplicity.
It's a misconception for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So it's in my studies, which I still really draw from. Like my philosophy studies really formed my mindset, and so that'd probably be the strongest. And then, I guess maybe why I went there was, like I said, I couldn't do this as a living, and I was working in the soup kitchen. So being a brother was my way of doing it as a living, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
So
that's cool. That's an interesting way of doing it.
Yeah.
Try having your cake and eating it too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The toughest part was the next year because it was isolated. It was really isolated. The second year, and it was a little more like monastic in style, and like, this sounds insane, but like if you haven't guessed it yet, like, I'm an extreme guy. When I throw into something, like, I want to do it to the max. So we had to do 40 days of silence. That was the hardest thing I've possibly ever had to do. It's like, I don't think we're meant for that as human beings. Kind of broke me a bit. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It kind of messed me up a bit, if I'm being honest. And I was like, I'm not a quitter, so I'm like, I'm in, you know?
Yeah, but no way.
It messed me up. We're not meant for that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. We had moments, like dinner, we could talk, and like, we weren't supposed to have electronics. Like, it was intense, like 40 days of that, you know? So that was the toughest. And it was kind of dark and difficult and lonely. And, I wasn't a prisoner because it was my own choice.
Right.
But it felt that way.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do the things I wanted to do. Like, I couldn't. So I left there, leaving that, having felt like extreme loneliness. Because if you're silent, you're not talking to anyone, it's extreme loneliness,
you're
right?
Fighting with your thoughts.
And so, like, I don't know, it made me think, like, solitary confinement, like, that's just messed up, you know?
Yeah.
People are meant for that. But mine wasn't the same, because, like I said, I was free to leave if I wanted to, when I wanted to. I kind of just saw it as a stepping stone. But, like, I left after that, because, like I said, that was too much for me. But also that led to me, like, going to visit prisons and stuff, because I'm like, it made me think of people in solitary confinement doing that stuff, like, that's messed up. Or like the loneliness people must feel there. I've done a bunch of stuff, and I kind of had like a different burnout again, twice. We figured I'd learned the first time, but the second time was I'd say an empathy burnout, and I think those 40 days kind of fucked me up, if I'm being honest. They kind of messed with me quite a bit. But like, when you're wearing this piece of clothes, you got this brown robe, you look like a Jedi a bit. It's amazing the immediate trust that people put in you. It is absolutely insane. And so people will come up to you randomly and just tell you their deepest, darkest secrets, the worst shit they've ever done, the most traumatic stuff they've ever experienced. Like, it's a piece of clothes, but to them it's a symbol, and it's insane. It is absolutely insane. It's humbling, because you got to be careful, because that's a lot of power, and like, I was uncomfortable with that amount of power, if I'm being honest. And it's tough to hear that day in, day out. I heard stories that would rip your soul apart. I heard stories that, like, I didn't think a person could live this, It kind of really messed with me, hearing all this darkness all the time. And it kind of broke me for a bit, definitely.
So it broke you, but what I want to know is, it was the consistency of it, right? That kind of...
I think, once again, lack of self-care, that, like I said, balance is the one I'm missing. And like, I'm a monk. Like, at first I went like, I want to be a scientist. I'm going to be a scientist. I'm going to research. And then I'll do the same thing with swimming. It's just me. So then when I was a monk, I want to be a monk. I'm going to meditate. Like, I'm going to read all this stuff. I'm going to go all in on it. I'm going to help people. But you can't pour out of an empty cup, right? Like, if you give, you're empty. You got nothing to give. You got a glass. Yeah, if I got this glass of water, pour it all out.
You can't pour out of an empty cup.
You can't, man. If you pour it all out, you got nothing to give.
That's such a good line.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's such.
So that's kind of what I did. I poured till I got nothing left, and I had nothing left to give. So once again, second depression. If I'm being honest, it's twice.
That's the
kind of
So, and you can tell me or not, or we can tell after, or just skip it. But is there one story or moment that you can share that you heard from being in that role?
That's too confidential.
Cool.
I don't think
Sounds
I can.
good.
They told me that. They told me that in confidence, right?
Yeah.
So I don't feel those are my stories to shout.
That is a crazy trust thing, then. Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But just
interesting.
Like I said, people have suffered things you wouldn't even think imaginable.
No kidding.
And it sounds like fiction. The amount of people have suffered. It's just like how.
And you're hearing that day in day out. It's just
when you hear that lots and over, it messes with your view of the world. You see the world. I saw the world now I'm back to that space, but you see the world as a safe place. I do anyways. Yeah. And then you hear those stories, and it doesn't feel that way anymore.
No kidding, eh?
And you just realize just how much darkness there's out there that you're kind of blind to. So I kind of got messed up again, and I was kind of lost again because I felt like that's what I was going to do with my life. I thought I had found it.
Yeah.
I think meaning and purpose was knowledge, and then it was kind of spirituality, looking for a higher purpose. Then I, went back to what I knew, so I went back to teaching.
Nice.
I went back to Sudbury. Yeah.
Yeah. Now with Sudbury, this has always been your.
I've been here since grade 1. So like I said, I've had a very unstable life. I've moved around a lot, if you haven't tell. So even when I was a kid, I was born in Ottawa. Then we moved to Rochester, Minnesota, in the States. So my dad studied in the U.S.
Wow.
And then I lived in Jacksonville, in Florida for a bit. So lots of bouncing around.
Yeah. But this is kind of where you resided, and you're like, this is my...
Yeah, if I had to call somewhere home, it would be Sudbury.
Interesting.
I was stayed in Sudbury from grade 1 to 12 and came back periodically.
Right. Okay.
So I've been back here since about 5 years.
Right on. Yeah. And that's when you came back, started teaching. And how'd you get back in? How'd you get into high school? To teaching high school?
Physics is my background, so that was my teachable. I don't know if did you want me to touch on meditation or not? Do you want to just zoom forward?
We'll get to it when it comes to the swim and recovery and stuff.
Sure.
We'll get into that. Yeah.
Cool. So sorry, what was your question? I kind of got.
No, it was wondering what with physics as a teachable. Then how'd you get into the teaching high school?
Well, I'd already been a teacher before joining the Brotherhood, so I was already there. So you did Teachers College before. I taught 2 years and left that to go.
Oh, and then you went back to teaching it. Okay.
And then once I left being a brother, I went back to teaching. So once again, that was a steep, hard transition again from that kind of life back. It was a steep transition in and a steep transition out. Right?
That's how you do things, right? To the extreme, brother.
Yeah, like I said, it's a blessing and a curse, right?
Yeah.
It's a double. Pat says the double-edged
sword.
It's a double-edged sword for sure.
Great time to use that.
Part of my personality, and it slices both ways for sure.
Yeah, right on. So now we'll shifting gears a bit. So
sure,
I met you met you today when we first connected because I had heard and seen your swim. I had heard about it. From Pat, mutual friend of ours. Shout out to him. Great dude.
He's awesome. I love Pat.
Yeah, so do I. And hearing everything about you and then kind of following the story of why and how. And let's back up, though, from all the way to why open water swimming, dude? Check this out. Hold on. I had open water swam before. I've done the mile in Nepewan around the island from the Laurentian University beach. I don't enjoy that. It was a bad time. Did not enjoy it. I was young. I was younger than 16, but no fun. It's cold. There's water snakes. I'm not a snake guy, but there's other fish. It's ridiculous. There's boats. There's waves. Intimidating as all hell. You look down and you're like, "What's going on here?"
I call it the abyss.
The abyss.
I call it staring at the abyss. Staring at nothingness. Yeah.
So why open water swimming, man?
I feel like I got to get there too. Okay. So when I hit 30, that's when I hit my athletic journey. So that's a whole other journey. So that leads to there. It doesn't make sense starting at the end. I think I got to start at the beginning for that one.
Far away.
So when I hit 30, once again, I was depressed. I didn't like where I was. I was really low. And I think it's important for me to talk about the lows because, people just seen the high now. Right? I'm coming off a high, right?
Oh, for sure.
So when you get hyped, people don't see you as this human being.
Right.
You know, they see you like as a superhero, or something when you're a brother. Like they see you as this non-human almost.
Like a symbol or something.
But yeah, exactly. But it's important to talk about the lows. Like I've been reading a lot about Michael Phelps too. Like he had some big post-Olympic depressions.
Crazy, yeah.
You know, some big, huge depressions. Period. You know.
Ever read his autobiography?
No, I want to read it next.
I have it.
Can I borrow it?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yes,
yeah, 100%. Man.
Thank you so much.
After this.
Sweet,
sure.
definitely. I'll take you up on that. So yeah, I want people to know that that's where I was when I started building up. I was 250 pounds. I was a big guy. I was non-athletic at all. And I didn't like where I was in life because I'm coming out of there. Like, I wasn't, accumulating materially compared to my friends because I, was living poverty, right? So I wasn't accumulating things for myself. So I didn't have a house, didn't have a car, didn't have none of these, material possessions.
Right.
A little bit behind relationship-wise because I pursued this path.
Yeah.
So I was when I hit 30, that hit me hard. And I was in a really low space. And I was like, this is not where I want my life to be, you know? So, we talk about spiraling a lot. You talk about spiraling down depression. It's definitely a spiral, a slow process. But if you've gone down, the thought that flipped me around is you can spiral up. Right? If you spiral down, you can go the other way. You can't just jump out of depression. You can't just snap your finger, you're better. You can't take a pill, you're better. You can't just change your environment, you're better. It is a slow spiral upward.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what would call it. And that's why I want to know people started my journey from nothing, basically.
Yeah.
So when people say, oh, I could never swim across Whanipitae, bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit, dude.
You can.
For sure.
I'll show you where I started. You're probably way ahead of where I started. Most people are probably way ahead from where I started. I got a picture. I'll show it to the camera, too. Nice. Like, why not? I got to pull a picture of that transformation. Maybe send you that.
Yeah, for sure.
So on the left
pretty crazy.
Is me and my sister 5 years ago, and on the right is me on my Whanipitae swim.
No way!
No, if you hold that, you can hold it up to the camera.
Dude,
show that.
That's epic. There, amazing. There we go.
So
no way, dude.
Yeah, I know. So that transformation was quite
cool.
Insane too.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I'm very proud of that. I worked really hard for that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I was about to say it's a lot of hard work and discipline. Jeez.
For sure. And it, like I said, it was a slow spiral, right? It did. Yeah. Like I wasn't just ripped one day. Like now I'm ripped.
yeah, no kidding. Man. This whole team 6.
Yeah. So how did that journey happen? It was the first thing that got me active is I had a couple buddies who asked me if I wanted to do a Spartan race, which is like obstacle races. Do you know what Spartan race is?
Oh, yeah.
So they asked me to do, there's 3 different categories. There's sprint, super, beast. So I signed up for a super.
I knew it.
And that's what I looked like. I couldn't do a single pull-up. I could barely do any push-ups. I couldn't run a kilometer. I hit that sign-up button, and the first thought was, what the fuck did I just do to myself?
No, that's an extreme thing, dude.
Yeah. I needed the fire, That's just who I am. I needed to get kicked in the butt. I needed a big goal.
Epic.
I couldn't just go to the gym for the sake. Now I was like, I got to do this race. I'm accountable. It's a year away. I got a year to prep. Let's go. So my friend Chris Minato and Dan Mopellier, they're the ones who talked me into it, and that's like one of the biggest life-changing moments for sure. Yeah. So we trained together for a long time, got prepped for it, and I think like I said, I think the biggest thing, I know people now who are way better shape than me.
Yeah.
Even when I did my first Spartan, who were too scared to do a Spartan. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can do it. I did it when I was in way more shape. Yeah. They just don't believe they can.
That's
right.
Interesting. Yeah.
So when people say I could never swim across Whanipitae, bullshit. You just don't believe you can.
Yeah.
You could if you put the time, the training, and you dedicate. If you don't want to, I respect that. If you tell me you can't, I don't respect that.
2 very different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't want it, fine. It did take a lot of training, discipline, everything.
That's not an interest of yours.
Exactly.
Like open water swimming. Cool. When you're saying, man, I could never do that. And you're right. You're right.
You're making your own reality.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
So that was my first Spartan. So that kind of kicked me into gear. And then after that, I loved how I felt after that first Spartan. Like I was dead.
Yeah.
I did it maybe like 4 hours 10, which is not a good time, but I got her done. And, I was proud. I worked, first time I did a Spartan, I failed like 8 obstacles or something, so I ended up doing like 240 burpees. I It took me a long time, but I got her done.
Fail.
Each failed obstacle is 30 burpees, and I failed 8 because I wasn't in shape.
Yeah, you're just like, some of them require you have X level of fitness. I don't have that.
Yeah, exactly. So I failed a lot of obstacles, but I got her done. It took me 4 hours, 10 minutes, I think was my time, something like that. But I got it done.
Oh, no kidding.
Hey, man, I just kept going. Exactly. So it felt good, and then I was like, I kind of slacked off a bit after that. Kind of stopped the training. I trained for something. Yeah. Then I joined a gym called Apex Warrior.
Yeah.
So where I actually met Pat for the first time. He doesn't go there regularly, but he came there once. That's how it was the first time I met Pat.
Oh, no way.
So hugely inspiring community. Definitely helped with my mindset. Awesome gym. So promo for Dennis there. Dennis guy who runs it. Apex Warrior, looking for a good place. Out. Yeah, promo for awesome. You. So I went there, and he's like, "Why don't you do more races?"
Obviously, he's gonna say that.
He's intense. Dennis is an animal.
Is he? Yeah.
Dennis is an animal. He did one weekend. He got gold in the sprint, super, and beast in the same weekend. All 3. Yeah, exactly.
And good for him. Dude.
Yeah, no, he's
good
a beast.
That's his thing.
So that's what I did. I kind of slacked after I accomplished that first goal. And I stopped. Yeah. And then I was like, let's just keep going. So I set some more Spartans, and then I joined jiu-jitsu at the same time. So that was huge too. I know you like jiu-jitsu.
Dude,
so
I love it.
Definitely.
I love it.
Like all these things.
We'll train together one day. For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm
let's
serious.
do it.
So like I'm trying to get like thick mats and find some from my buddy who runs a jungle gym. Trying to get some mats over here and then have enough space. We can drill some stuff and if there's enough space, roll. That's fun. Learn some
down.
Stuff.
Yeah, definitely drew from that a lot. So jiu-jitsu and then Apex, that got me in good shape, and then I got into running.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm an intense guy. So ultras, I hear the word ultra. I hear the word. That's me. I'm an ultra. Yeah, I'm hooked.
That's my last name.
Yeah, ultra extreme. Yeah, count me in.
Sign me up. Yeah.
So I was a runner. I was did some 50s. And then I broke my foot at jiu-jitsu, actually. I was overtraining. Kind of just stupid. Yeah. Like playing a silly game. Like it was just a stupid mistake. Broke my foot. And that once again was a low, because
You're injured.
I was injured.
Yeah.
I worked so hard to like transform. Like I'd been seeing nonstop forward progress, and now I slip back. Progress made me think like progress is not linear. You're not always moving forward.
No.
But 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward. You're still going forward.
It's still 1 step forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like you gotta have perspective, right?
For sure.
So when I had that injury, I was saw the muscle atrophy in my leg. Couldn't do jiu-jitsu. Couldn't do my running. So that's what brought me to swimming.
Yeah.
So that's what brought me to the pool. So I'm like, how can I stay active? So I hopped into the pool with a broken foot in October of last year. And I was not a swimmer at all. I hated swimming as a kid because I failed swimming lessons. I'm not a natural swimmer.
So you have this negative this aggression towards swimming.
Well, because I failed. I wasn't good at it. I failed a bunch of swimming lessons.
When you fail as a kid, it's worse than failing as an adult.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Now I don't care about failure. As a kid, I cared. So that's how I hopped in the pool with a broken foot, and I couldn't swim 50 meters last October. So that's where I started. I think that's the craziest part of my journey. For swimming.
Saying
journey.
that,
yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I think I had made the journey for running already. I had made from like not being able to breathe running a kilometer to running 50. I had made the journey of being 250 pounds to 180. So I built off that.
Right, you had those experiences.
I had already made a similar journey. I knew I could do it again. Once again, I think the biggest thing holding people back is their own mind. Simple think that they can't do it.
What in that mind do you think? Is it somebody else that has an influence saying that they can't do it? Or is it just like a social thing? Or is it...
I don't know. You need to build off experience, right?
Right.
So if you don't have the experience of success, you don't know you're capable of it. It's the spiral up, right? Once you start spiraling upwards... That spiral gets bigger, and success leads to bigger success. Like, I got exciting 100%. Shit going on,
Yeah.
And so, like, the spiral happened a lot quicker with swimming, because I was lower here when I was running, or, when I did my first Spartan.
You started further up.
And then, I started further up. Yeah. So you got one more momentum. I was able to progress a lot quicker, because I had already made the journey, and I was already had this baseline athletic fitness. I already had the cardiovascular. So I think that's why I was able to progress swimming so quickly. One of the big reasons, and the mentalities that I developed, as an ultra runner, as jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu I pulled from huge. Yeah. Just the mentality towards failure shifted from jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu is one of those things
humbling.
That's very, very humbling.
Extremely humbling.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. I've been strangled by whether it be women smaller than me.
Yeah.
Men smaller than me.
Yeah, people way smaller than you that you don't think should be able to outpower you who do.
Yeah, that's when people don't realize, because there's this kind of line and bubble that we walk around every day where you don't know, or you subconsciously think that you're okay, but then I have some of the most like ridiculously talented jiu-jitsu practitioners I've seen. At least in the gym and then other places and in tournaments. They're the least imposing people I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, because they have confidence. They don't need to flex it.
But it's almost like, are you like they're very introverted, very shy, very nerdy.
Yeah.
But they have like a leopard seal look in their eye.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh.
It's a mind game
different.
too, right?
Very
It's definitely
much
a mind
so,
game for
and
jiu-jitsu.
it makes like that intelligent. Like I find intelligent people do better in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, you need both. You need athleticism,
Sure.
but intelligence definitely.
Helps, yeah.
It's definitely like a game of chess almost, you know?
Yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
like 60-40, maybe 70-30, even intelligence over physical. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've seen like
You'd say intelligence over physical?
Yeah.
Really, eh?
Yeah, over. Sorry,
You've done more
sorry.
jiu-jitsu than me, so-
Not physical, over athleticism.
Okay.
I'll say over athleticism. Let's
Okay.
say that. I'll preface that, and I'll go 60-40 intelligence over athleticism.
See, I got less experience, so I'd place a 50-50. I'd say
Yeah,
that.
they're close. It's
Yeah.
definitely close. It's definitely not. Well, I definitely think intelligence, because then you know how to use what you have and
That's a good point.
But yeah, it's a weird thing. I want to like open that conversation up with a few more people and see kind of what get some perspective on that.
So I got jiu-jitsu. I think it's one of the greatest. I don't know who said it, but I got it from jiu-jitsu somewhere. So I got that quote in my mirror, and that was definitely related to my swimming.
Mm-hmm.
It's let me hold on. I got to think of it here. In training, there is no failure. There's only success and learning. The only failure is not to train.
100%. 100%.
So, like, if you do jiu-jitsu, I got submitted for like 8 months straight. You know, was that failure? No, I would land like I would focus on the small victory. Okay, I'd land a sweep. Yes, or I'd land this, or I'd escape this submission.
Yeah.
Until eventually I was able to, get my first submission. I was like, yeah! You know?
Dude, I still remember the day.
Once you tell me about your first one, I would hear about it. Go for it.
It wasn't even like, it was like a lazy, like, the guy pulled guard and his foot went side, and I was like, fuck it, I'm going to foot lock him.
So your first submission was an ankle lock?
Yeah.
Your first one was an ankle
I
lock?
caught him with the
Really?
foot lock, I was like, rah! And then he tapped, and I was
Because
like,
he wasn't expecting it.
Yeah. I don't think
nice.
he knew how to defend it or how to hit it either, but he'd been training for like 5 months longer than me, and I've been training for 6 months.
The leg
at the time.
game, though, is totally
Dude,
different.
It's nasty.
Yeah.
But I find if you're good, because I'm trying to work on the leg attacks now, and that's kind of been my game lately, is like developing those and like lasso stuff. And I find when you add the like attacks from the lower body, it opens up things you can do to the upper body.
Totally,
in a really interesting way, because you're not afraid of or neglecting 50% of.
See, I kind of see them
body,
separate
right?
because I haven't done enough, right?
Yeah, it's a weird
like
way to piece them together, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I don't want anybody breaking my legs, and I
For
don't
sure.
want anybody breaking
No, you
my
got to
arms.
defend both, for sure.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of like, you focus on one. Man, there's some cool stuff. If I had Matt's here, I'd show you too.
My first was key lock. That was my first
Oh
submission.
yeah?
Yeah, key
That's
lock.
incredible.
Yeah.
Right on, dude.
What's your
Nice.
favorite submission?
Rear naked choke all day.
Rear naked choke?
All day. It's my favorite place to be. Favorite, like,
Mine's
I'm in most
Kimura.
control.
I love the. You can hit it from so many spots.
Yeah,
There's Kimura.
Where's
There's
your favorite spot though?
to hit it from?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just pops up and I'm like, there it is. You know.
It's like right there. You can isolate it from side control.
Yeah,
you can get
exactly.
mounted,
I
then
just-
push it up.
I just kind of take it when it's there.
Dude,
You know.
I have a sick. I was on the phone with Buddy before this, and he taught me a sick like from deep half guard. He goes over and he connects with the Kimura grip, and he like hips out and swings, pivoting on the Kimura grip, and lands with the Kimura grip here on the guy's back.
Ooh.
Dude, I'll show you one day, and you'll
Need the mats.
lose
Need
it.
the mats.
You'll lose it. You're like, this is my grip. This is my, because if you have that knowledge of that hold and like the way the body's manipulated, and you're used to that, then doing that is like, you'll pick it up quick. And I think you're like, this is savage.
Yeah.
From a bottom bad position to on their back with the Kimura grip, and then you isolate the grip down, and then you can like tuck it behind their back, and then you just. It's dirty, Matt. You love it.
The
You love
one
it.
I've
Slick.
never landed rolling, it's a triangle.
No?
I like drilling it because if you're choking someone out with just your legs, that's feeling of power to me. Like,
It is
I'm
for value.
oh yeah, just got to use my legs.
Yeah.
You know? But I've never been able to land it.
No?
I haven't drilled it enough. I don't think.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. There was once I once drilled it. I drilled it every morning for 3 months, and then I hit it on a guy who had already beaten me with a Kimura in the tournament before. I beat him with a triangle in the first match.
Nice.
So I was just like, oh, but I drilled it like you said, like more reps, right?
Yeah, it's whatever you're drilling, you're gonna get good at, right?
Yeah,
So.
and but there's like one or two minor like variations to the triangle that just make it shitty.
Yeah.
For the person. So, yeah.
Back to swimming, if you don't mind.
No, for sure, man.
So yeah, I think I had to build there because those are the building blocks. Like, how did you progress so quick? Like, it doesn't make sense unless I got the beginning, right?
Right.
And then this non-feeler failure is gone. Jiu-jitsu took away my feeler failure. I'm like, whatever. I don't care.
Amazing.
I don't care. Like, I mean, still do, obviously, but like...
Not nearly as much.
Not nearly anywhere.
And there's a confidence with that.
Yeah, and it's if I fail, it's a lesson, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's kind of the mentality that shifted.
Amazing.
So, I knew my original goal was to swim across Ramsey Lake, which I'm doing 2 days from now, actually.
Right on.
So, that was my original goal. Was I knew it was ambitious.
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. Saturday morning. Doing it for Camp Quality. Raise funds for Camp Quality summer camps. For sick kids. Yeah. So, I knew I wanted to swim across Ramsey to do it, to raise funds for Camp Quality. I knew it was an ambitious goal because I couldn't swim 50 meters, but that's what I needed. I needed the kick in the butt. I needed the extreme. I needed something big.
The extreme motivates you.
That's just me, right? I needed something big. Otherwise, what's the point?
That's a good point, man. You're not wrong. That's awesome. What's the point?
Yeah.
You're right, man.
Yeah. So that was Ramsey, and then I put that in my mirror, so I see it every day. I set myself. I got 3 goals in my mirror at all times, and I set it in my mirror. So I see it every single day, and I ask myself at the end of the day, did I do something towards this goal?
Towards any of the 3?
All 3.
All 3.
Did I do something? Doesn't have to be much, but did I do something? Because like that slow spiral up, right? If you're doing nothing, your dreams aren't just going to come true spontaneously. Most people, right?
Right, doesn't happen.
You have to work towards it, and if it's there in your mirror, if you're not doing it, you got that reminder.
Right, you have to manifest it.
Yeah,
and
totally.
creating the reminders daily.
Totally. So you see it, and then step 2 is I create myself a plan, a 10-step plan.
Okay.
And step 1 is always super duper easy. So step 1 for my swim Ramsey was hop in a pool. So it's something easy that you know you can do to set you on the path to success.
But it's taking that first step is also you're like, I hated swimming when I was a kid. I hated it.
Yeah.
There's more.
Yeah, exactly. I hated even when I started swimming, like, because I wasn't very good.
Yeah.
There's a quote that I read is like, at first you swim to survive, then you swim to thrive.
I love it.
Yeah,
That's
so at
awesome.
first we're land animals, right?
Yep.
So you're scared, you're out of your element, you can die.
100%. 100%. So
your survival instinct's there, it's uncomfortable, and then once you get good at it, the feeling of like freedom is just awesome. So step 1 was hop in a pool. Yeah. Step 2 was swim 1 kilometer in a pool. Step 3 was swim 2 kilometers in a pool. All right, once I got comfortable in the pool, now it's time to hop out of the pool. I'm going to give her a shout out to. I'm giving a bunch of people.
Dude, shout out
Kim Bruce, I love her. Active Therapy Plus. I called her a year ago. And I called her. She's a sports therapist. My sports therapist. I called her up and I said, listen, I know her through Chris Cacciati. Also, I'm getting to him. I love him too. I said, I can't swim 50 meters. This is how I started. But I want to swim across Ramsey. That's what I told her straight up. Like, what do I have to do to make this happen? I will make it happen. Just tell me what I got to do.
What I got to do.
Yeah, she spent an hour on the phone. She put me in contact with an open water swimming group.
Nice.
Gave me like some exercises to do, some tips of open water swimming. Like she took me seriously.
Yeah, 100%.
Which, was huge. Like she could have just been like, this guy, this guy, right? But I guess she saw like, oh, this guy's got drive. She saw something in me.
You wouldn't have been on the phone.
Exactly. So she saw some drive, took the time to answer my questions, and now I still see her, and she's amazing. I love Kim so much. Yeah,
I'd love to meet her one day.
Yeah, she's amazing. If you need a podcast guest, ask her. She's
I'd love to.
Yeah.
Soon.
So yeah, then I was starting to open water swim. My first open water swim was pretty also extreme. It was my friend Brandon. We were in Lake Nepawasi. Yeah. I think it was like April 3rd or something. The ice had melted 3 days before. I like the deadpan stare at the camera. Yeah, you just look.
That's how I feel. That's cool.
Yeah, at the Jim from The Office. Is that the look you're doing?
Yeah. Sometimes. Sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm glad you caught on.
So I was like, the pools were closed.
Yeah.
I was training in pools, but then they were closed since like December. And I was like, I got this goal that I want to do that's been staring at me in my mirror.
And I can't train for it.
Finally, there's no ice on the lake. I can swim. I'm going to swim. So I bought myself a wetsuit. Yeah. I'm like, whatever. I didn't have my hands or feet covered. I had my friend Brandon. He had a kayak and like sketchily tied to the back of his kayak. We had like a knee board. I'm like,
right on.
I'm like, Brandon, I don't know how this is gonna go. Like, I have no idea how this. I don't know if I'm gonna get hypothermia. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen when I jump in here. I was just like, just be ready to save me.
Be ready to save me.
Yeah, I had like this little inflatable buoy. Like, if I pass out, just pull on it.
Just, I'm attached to it. I'll come back.
Yeah.
Ah, it's so funny.
So I hopped in the water, and it was like survival instinct kicks in.
Amazing.
Adrenaline to the max. I'm way too stubborn to turn around. I'm like, I'm swimming across this bay. I give it 120%. Like, I just swim. I gas out after like 20 meters.
Yeah.
I gas out. I'm panicking hard. Full on panic attack. I'm just gassed out hard. I yell out, Brandon, save me. He throws me in the mute board. But I don't get out of the water. I stick there. And I stay in the water till I got used to the temperature. You know, I can't really get... Like, it was so cold, it was hurting my lungs.
You gotta stop caring about the temperature. I think that's...
I think, like, you can only stay... Like, when you do ultras, you can only get that pain signal for so long.
Right.
And then your body turns it off.
Dude, our bodies are scary.
Yeah.
How well they adapt to things is kind of ridiculous.
It'll kick back in,
Yeah.
but when you have that pain, it'll kick off for a bit. And then it's like, okay, you're not listening to me. And then it'll kick back in to remind you and worse. And like, okay, I'm still here, you know? So anyways, I just chilled in the water till I mellowed out. I was able to be calm. And then I did this awkward front crawl to finish the bay. I swam for like 20 minutes in these cold temperatures. I didn't keep my face. I was so cold I couldn't like keep my face in the water to breathe. I was like kind of like this doggy paddle, weird awkward front crawl. And that was my first open water swim, 600 meters. That was 4 months ago, or I guess not, maybe 4 or 5 in April. How many months is that? Or what? The 9th month. When it was from August. August is the 8th month. April is the 4th. It was like 4 months ago. It was my first open water swim ever. 4 months ago.
Wow. So what, 5 months?
Yeah, about 4 or 5 months. Yeah.
Epic, dude.
So that was my first one. Failure if you stop at the first 20 meters, but then I just chilled out and kept going, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, like you said, you're scared, yeah. You know, I've been through a lot of panic attacks. And I know, like, my metaphor is a wave. It hits you, but it passes you.
Right.
And if you leave before that panic attack is done, you're just reinforcing that fear 10 times. If you ride out that fear and wait till it passes, you've removed it a lot. It's still there, but it's going to be less intense. So a lot of open water swims, I've had a lot of panic attacks, and I'm going to... That's just part of the... Yeah, part of the fear. Like, I've done some crazy shit, right? So that was my first open water swim. Then, it was like in June, my buddy Neil Castlegate, he was training for... Do you know him?
I knew him when I was much younger.
Oh, yeah? He's awesome. I love Neil. He's a good guy. So he was training for a half Ironman.
Right.
And so he had to do the swim, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, do you want to swim across Nepomucen Lake with me? You know, that was the next goal to tick off. That's 2 kilometers from Laurentian Beach to Nepomucen Beach. Yeah. He's like, hell yeah, sure, let's do it.
100%, yeah.
That's about the distance he had to swim for his Ironman. So we got out there. We went from Laurentian Beach to Nepomucen, thinking the waves would go that way, but no, we were swimming directly into some big waves. But that just made the swim more badass. The same thing, fear. First time I did it, it took me about an hour. So then another one check. So I always have a spotter with me if I'm doing something like that. Yeah. So I'll have someone in a canoe or kayak beside me, or like for the longer swims, always a boat.
Smart.
Someone just in case, you know, because it's dangerous. You know, you do it.
It is for sure. For sure.
So that was that. And then I did a double with him. So that was a cool big goal. So we did double Lake Nepomucen.
Nice.
So that's there sick. And back. That was fun. And that felt cool because that's the Ironman swimming distance. So like a full Ironman swimming distance. So when I hit that, I was like, hells yeah.
I could do an Ironman.
I'm on my way.
Yeah.
You know?
That's awesome.
The next big one, I did these open water swimming lazies. Jess and Susan. Maybe, I don't know. I only see it spelled. I haven't heard her name. I'm so sorry. I think it's Susan. I'm not sure it's Suzanne or Susan. I hope I didn't get her wrong.
Ooh, is it 2 N's and an E? Because then that's
I have to check this on my phone. I'm gonna get this right now.
You can't.
Maybe hopefully.
Can't disappoint.
Yeah, because I have a lot of respect for her, and I want to get her name right.
Yeah, for sure.
She's coming to swim with me probably tomorrow, so I definitely should know. I think it's Suzanne. There it is. Suzanne. That's Suzanne.
Oh yeah,
right?
Suzanne for sure.
Sorry.
Yeah, Susan. S-U.
Suzanne. Yeah.
Susan. Yeah. Nice.
Suzanne and Jess. There's some like, you know, they're up there in years compared to me. They're not old, but like compared to me, and they're still out there swimming. And I was so nervous for that open water swim that I forgot to pack my wetsuit. Yeah. Like I'd get nervous. I told you, I get scared.
That's amazing.
Like I was so frazzled. That I didn't pack my wetsuit. And then I got there and I was swimming like 4.5 kilometers. I'm like, oh shit. So I got there. I'm like, oh shit, I have my wetsuit. Like that makes the game so much easier. But I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'm here. I'm going to do it.
Oh no.
And so we swam Kivy Park. We swam across Linton Lake and Crowley Lake. There's a little portage between the two.
Yep.
So we swam all the way to the end and back. It was about 4.5 kilometers. And I did it in a wetsuit, so also a big boost.
Yeah, man. Way to go.
Thanks, man.
That's the real shit.
Yeah, yeah. That's when I started hitting some big distances.
Intense stuff. Yeah. That's crazy. Way to go.
And then I knew I was swimming Ramsey, so I just gave myself the goal to swim across as many lakes as I could this summer.
Nice.
So I swam across around 20 lakes
in the summer. Wow.
And it was cool because
thanks.
Cool. Yeah, it was exciting.
Yeah.
So it was really cool because I just posted this on social media. People were like following me because they saw I started at 50 meters. Like some people saw me from the beginning. They're like, "What the fuck?" Like, look at this guy go, you know. And people got to know me. They're just sending me invites. Like people like, "Come swim at my camp. Come swim at my house. Come swim here." So I swam with I had like over 30 spotters. I wanted to swim every day. Nobody wanted to spot every day. So I had like a different spotter every day. I think the week that I swam the most, I swam 6 lakes in a week. So that's the week I swam the most. I swam 6, and it was cool. It was awesome.
Wow.
And then people were, it was social because like they'd invite me out, and then whatever we'd eat after. So I met a bunch of cool people this summer.
Yeah,
it was really neat. It was really exciting.
That's awesome.
Then some of the biggest ones, beginning of August, I did Big Pine Island on Panache.
Okay, yeah, I heard it.
So it's as his name suggests, it's a big island. It's got a lot of pines on it, right? My dad was spotting me the boat. It was a rainy day, so thank God for my dad. He was feeding me my drinks, food, and stuff like that.
Shout out, Dad.
Yeah, my dad. Yeah, my dad was huge on that one.
Yeah, for sure.
And so as I swim across the island, I wasn't expecting this at all. I had like random campers come down to their docks, like cheering. They're like, "What the hell's this guy doing?" They could see I was doing a big swim. So they'd come down to their docks and cheer. I had like an older couple like banging pots and pans
That's
for
awesome.
me. Just like jacking me up as I was going.
How's that feel?
It felt awesome.
Yeah.
It felt really cool.
Yeah, no kidding.
I wasn't expecting that. I had maybe like a couple dozen people come down to their docks and cheer me on at different parts of the swim.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, no kidding.
People love seeing someone succeed.
Yeah.
I think people love seeing someone kill it.
I think so, yeah.
It shows them it's possible. It shows them
there's
this
an
is doable.
inspiration they can latch on to, for sure.
Yeah, I've gotten inspired from a lot of people. And yeah, so that was that swim. That was cool.
Yeah.
My first time dealing with some currents a bit. And my family was always there when I do these bigger cheers, like my sister, my niece, nephews, my mom, my brother-in-law. They were all there, like cheer me on the dock every time I come back. So they've seen the progress too.
Yeah.
I think when I was tapering, I had a huge tapering's when you cut down before an event.
Yep.
I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to swim 2 kilometers," and my sister's like, "Just 2?" Right? Yeah, just 2. And I was a moment 2 months before my Whanipitae swim. That was my best, right?
Yeah.
And then 2 months later, I'm like, "This is nothing."
Mm-hmm.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
So Big Pine Island, and then I did Lake Manitou.
Yeah.
My buddy Ian, friend of him from Jiu-Jitsu as well.
Oh, nice.
He took me out to Lake Manitou. It was a little stupid, a little dumb. Yeah, I do stupid shit. If you haven't figured it out,
extreme, right?
Yeah. So I was going for a 10K that day, and he wanted some exercise, and so we changed the plan. And so he's like, "I'll take the kayak." I'm like, "Sure, fine." The lake was crystal clear when we started.
Amazing.
So he took the kayak. Yeah. So he took the kayak, spot me. About 2K into the swim, the waves started picking up. And they were hitting me on my breathing side, but I'm like, I'll go 5K back. I'm like, when I turn around, I'll be good. I'll be good when I turn around.
Yeah. Not the case.
But when I hit 5K, it took me 2 hours to swim 5K, and then it took me 2 hours to swim 2K. So when I turned around, I was going huge in these massive white caps. I couldn't have part of the elements.
No.
We called it due to safety. I maybe could have done it, but risk reward wasn't there.
No.
It was an important lesson of when you're doing something big lake like that, have a boat.
Mother Nature always wins, dude.
Exactly.
For sure.
We couldn't make it back, so we hitchhiked home. We were hitchhiked barefoot. We were walking up barefoot on the road, and we hitchhiked home. And then some farmer picked us up.
Amazing.
His name Peter. Shout out to Peter.
Shout out to Peter.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
He's like, why did you want to do this? It's like, why did you want to swim 10 kilometers? And he's probably like, you city folk don't know Lake Manitou.
You don't know Lake Manitou.
Yeah, these get rough, they can't take Lake Manitou. So hitchhike home, and that was an important lesson, element-wise. Look at winds, start early, because I started at 9 instead of, I was planning on starting much earlier, I started at 9 a.m. Usually lakes are much calmer earlier.
For sure, yeah.
So that was probably my biggest swim pre-Whanipitae. And then Whanipitae happened, like, I don't know, I've been talking a long time, stop me for...
No, dude, keep going.
Sweet.
Do your thing.
So Whanipitae kind of came really quick. My friend Chris Cacciati lost his son, Evie.
Yeah.
So...
Shout out to Chris.
Yeah, Chris and Leslie, and their daughter's named Zoe, going through a rough time. He was 3.5 years old. So he had gone through like something like 6 big surgeries. He had a big scar from the top to bottom. Came out fighting, had it difficult, and he didn't make it through the last one.
No.
So absolutely heartbreaking. I felt so much pain, and that's not even my kid. I could only imagine. I didn't know Evie that well. I knew Chris really well.
Yeah.
So I was sad for what Chris was going. I met him at Apex where I worked out with him.
Yeah.
He did the Goggins challenges. I was his support crew, so he got to return the favor. But just absolutely crushing. And obviously I'm a spiritual person since I was a brother.
Yep.
Right? So for me there's a spiritual side of this swim. You can be a skeptic, whatever, maybe subconscious, whatever lens you want to take looking at it.
Right.
But the last I heard that Chris posted, Evie was doing good. So he had pulled through, like he made a post of these swims. So the last post I saw was that. And then one day I had a dream where I was swimming Whanipitae for Neokids. And I was doing it in memory of Evie, who was passed away.
But that was before.
So then I woke up sobbing. Convinced he was dead, and then I was like, okay, rational brain, it's just a dream.
That's freaky.
It is freaky.
Whoa.
So to me, there's a spiritual side to it. I'm a spiritual person. Take it as
sure.
skeptical. If you don't believe in that stuff, that's cool. But for me, there was a spiritual side for it. And I had Chris over 2 weeks later. I found out later that exact same day that he had passed away. So that was there. I had Chris over 2 weeks later for some appetizers to process. We just had him for some food, had him to talk, because, how do you process that?
You kind of don't. I don't know.
You can't,
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I'm hugely inspired by Evie. I'm hugely inspired. Leslie I don't know as well, but just seeing who Evie was, just seeing who Chris, I know Leslie's amazing too,
She's gotta be.
For sure. Just seeing their kids, I've only met Leslie briefly a couple of times.
Yeah.
Just their whole family is just amazing.
Yeah.
So I had Chris over, and then he told me the time Evie died, and it was the time I woke up. To me that's more than coincidence, that kind of really freaked me out.
Yeah.
I'm a spiritual, like I said, I'm a spiritual person. I believe in that stuff.
For sure.
So I said this Neokids swim, memory of Evie. I was like, that's not a realistic goal for me to do this year, to swim Whanipitae. And then I was like,
that's the point.
Fuck it, let's try.
Yeah.
I was no longer afraid of Ramsey, because I'd swum past that distance.
Right.
And so I know I'm addicted to fear.
For sure.
Because if I'm not afraid, I'm not pushing myself. If not, I'm not afraid, I'm getting afraid.
Right. So you'd rather be pushing yourself
than stagnant.
Than being afraid. And
yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm not afraid, I get afraid, because that means I'm not pushing my boundaries. I'm not pushing myself,
If you're not afraid, you get afraid.
Yeah. I get afraid because I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
'Cause it means you're not growing.
Right. You need that.
You need discomfort.
You need to be discomfort.
You need discomfort.
Yeah.
You don't want too much discomfort because you get a break. Obviously,
right.
I've done some extreme stuff and I've had panic attacks.
Yeah.
And, I've built up.
Right. There's a wall.
Yeah. Yeah. I've hit that wall.
Yeah, for sure.
But Whanipitae scared me, so I'm like, let's do it. So this fundraiser, I put Chris Cacciati in charge of fundraising.
Nice, smart.
Because it was a way, I wanted to honor, I wanted to remember Evie. It was a way to process our grief, his grief, my grief.
For sure.
People who knew him. To give him, when I had Chris over those 2 weeks later, he said something so strong to me. He said, I could easily fold into myself and break, with this going on, because that's a big loss, right?
For sure,
But if I do that, Evie's legacy becomes, this stuck with me. Like I said, Chris is something else. Evie's legacy becomes one of darkness if I just let this destroy me, And that's not what I want. I want to build Evie a legacy of light.
Yeah.
I want him to inspire and propel me to do great things. And you know, Evie doesn't want me to be this way. Evie would want me to live, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So Chris is processing by setting some crazy athletic goals too and getting out there and getting running, which to me is huge. Like, that's how I process too.
Right.
So yeah, one of the main reasons for the Whanipitae swim was to honor Evie, to raise funds for kids like Evie. So the funds went to Neo Kids because Evie got a lot of support from Neo Kids. Yeah. If you want to hear someone talk about Chris Cacci, have you ever had Chris Cacci on your podcast?
Yeah, man.
Okay, yeah, because he's the guy. Yeah, he's awesome.
He's the dude.
So
we talked about doing it again. I just want to let him kind of process everything before.
Yeah, that's some heavy stuff to talk about, for sure. So Evie was very much part of the swim, very much a spiritual part. I can't separate Evie from this swim. And I feel like he's a mover and a shaker. Like, such a small guy but big personality.
For sure, yeah.
Had every reason to be miserable.
Every reason.
Every reason to be miserable.
Oh, yeah, every reason.
Had a short life. Sure. Such big smiles every picture I see of him.
That's true, yeah, that's a good point.
So much joy packed in such a small life. Mm-hmm. So inspiring to me. And he's still inspiring people. He's still moving and shaking things. Yeah. You know? And I think he will continue to move and shake things. And I think that when I did this swim, it snowballed so much more than I thought it would. Yeah. It was really cool. Evie's was front page of the Sudbury Star, and then newspapers across Ontario, like I think it was in the Toronto Star, I think it was in the Timmins paper.
Amazing, yeah.
So Evie's picture was in all these papers, and to me that was huge. That's what I wanted. I wanted to build a legacy for Evie. I wanted to bring, support to those who are grieving, and I wanted to help kids, who are in a similar situation, and also want to do something amazing for myself,
Yeah, for sure.
So that, I said, I'm going Whanipitae, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I assembled a team. So Chris Cacciati was on my hype boat.
Yeah.
Dan from Camp Quality. I want to say his last name, but I was trying to learn to pronounce it today. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right.
So Dan from Camp Quality.
Yeah, it doesn't change how you feel.
I know. I was like, okay, I need a boat because I don't have a boat to cross Whanipitae. I'm like, I'm just going to post in a Facebook group.
Nice.
I posted in the Whanipitae group. I'm like, I want to swim Whanipitae. Can somebody lend me a boat, in a day? And then Dan from Camp Quality, I knew him, so I already trusted him, so I'm like, perfect. He reached out.
Even better.
At this pontoon boat, he let me crash out there the day before. And then Pat Boileau. Yeah, he was number 3. So he gave me a lot of massage therapy. I'd say he could be like a sports psychologist. I haven't told him that yet. But like the sports psychology, he's got it.
I'll tell him after this when we go jump in the lake.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, sports psychology, he has it. He's just fun too.
Yeah, he
knows the athletic lifestyle.
Very much so. He lives it.
So he was on the boat, so that was my dream team on the boat. Dan had me the day before, and just mentally to get ready. That was the first time I was ever on the lake. I'd never seen the lake. I just loved that I told people, like, I'm going to swim in Whanipitae. And like, you're crazy. You can't do it. It's too deep. It's too wild. It's too unpredictable. They told me all the reasons why I couldn't. Don't do it. It's not safe. Yeah. Like, so many people say you couldn't. I'm like, worst case scenario, I failed. I don't care.
Worst case scenario, I hop out after 20 seconds.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, I fail, and then I've done what everybody expected. If I succeed...
Which is no fun.
Yeah, if I succeed, people go, holy shit, that's possible.
For sure.
And that's what I want to do, like with the stuff I do. I want to show, I want people to look and go, holy shit, that's possible. What can I do? And I want them to translate it to their own life.
Right.
So Dan took me out. We went to the North Shore. Have you ever been to Lake Whanipitae? You ever been on it?
Yeah.
Do you know the sand dunes?
Yeah.
That's where we started, the big wall of sand.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah, so that's where we started.
Good spot.
Took me out, scoped out the start point, and the day before, he dropped me in the middle of the lake, and like I was feeling fear, like there's big waves, and just the mental aspect of the depth of Whanipitae, right? Because it's deep.
Just knowing how deep it is.
Yeah, there's parts that don't register on the sonar.
No, for sure.
There's parts that are like, like little holes.
It's deep.
Yeah, it's deep.
It's ridiculous.
So mentally, that plays on you, And then we scoped out. We ended at Tony's Marina. Big shout out to Tony as well, who welcomed us. That's where I finished. So I cut right through the middle of the lake.
Yeah.
Cut right through the middle of the lake. Started 6:30 a.m. the next day. Had the dream team with me, pontoon boat. Chris was setting up Evie's shrine in the boat on the way out there.
Yeah.
So he took out some pictures, his Buzz Lightyear action figure, and we took out the shoes, like, when I saw those little empty shoes, I cried. Like, I couldn't... When I saw those little empty shoes, I couldn't not cry.
No.
You know, the tears were flowing right from the start. When I was...
It's heavy.
I was excited. When I was staring out across Lake Whanipitae when I started it, I was scared.
Mm-hmm.
I was scared.
Oh, for sure. Rightfully so.
Oh, very scared.
Yeah.
What the hell am I doing? There's no way you can swim this distance. All those thoughts spinning, you know. But I've done enough shit to know that I can do it.
You're like, this is how I always feel before something ridiculous is accomplished.
When I have that feeling, it's because I'm about to do something amazing. Right?
Yes.
Don't let the fear hold you back. The more afraid you are, maybe you're ill prepared, but the more something amazing you're about to do. And all the best experiences are on the other side of that fear.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's something very unique that I think a lot of people, and sometimes myself, but it happens where we see things that other people do, and it almost intimidates us in a way. We're like, and then that you can kind of almost shut down from seeing, and that like removes you from seeing like your goals. And here's one that I say this a lot, or I'm trying to say it more to people, so that as my way of almost not coping, because I think coping is a silly word, because like, oh, I'm just dealing with it. It's like, no, I want to excel from it. So, for example, with the fear of, I don't like asking people to be on the podcast.
Yeah, there's a fear of rejection.
Absolutely
maybe.
hate it. But it's what it used to be is, if you have more followers than me, I don't want to ask.
Oh, really? But that's the opposite. That's the step up. Yeah.
That's what's weird. But I was putting this arbitrary value on something that didn't really matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't define who the person is or how good the person is or how great the conversation could be, right? So doing that and then moving away from that is kind of one of those things that, well, now that it's removed and then you're not worried about the failure, what I'm trying to do now is I not want people to say no, but I'm asking people with the intent of them saying no, or the goal is them saying no. Because if they say no, I'm building resilience.
That's called rejection therapy.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
And that's...
You get rid of that fear of rejection.
And it works, right?
It works. Totally works.
So
you get things you never thought you would get.
And that's what I think, and that's kind of... I'm at the beginning stages of it. Kind of been trying for a couple months lately. You know, whether it be like just trying to find people.
That's awesome, because I talked to my students about that today.
Yeah?
Yeah. Today.
No way.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What was that like?
It was awesome, yeah, because I've done it as well. Because same thing, like when I was a monk, I wasn't dealing with girls, and then obviously I wanted to see girls after when I'm not celibate anymore, man. You know?
They're amazing.
Exactly.
Beautiful creatures.
So that's a harsh transition, so I was super shy, super awkward. And so I did it with that reasoning, but also like applied it everywhere. So my goal was to get rejected. It didn't have to be a girl, it could be anything. But rejected for 100 days straight.
Wow.
Like I said, extreme, right? Like I could do something.
That is extreme.
But I want to get rid of the fear of rejection and the things that came out of it. Like, this is a whole other tangent. I don't know if you want to go on this.
Dude.
Okay.
Fire away, please.
We'll go back to the Whanipitae swim after, I guess.
Yeah, we'll get there.
So, yeah, rejection therapy. So, it really sunk in on the most banal of examples. So, I had a coworker, teacher, she had a really strict diet. And, like, every 2 weeks or something, she could have peanut butter balls, chocolate-covered peanut butter balls. So I'm like, perfect. Excellent opportunity to get rejected. Can I have one? Like, what do you think she said?
No.
Yeah, of course she said no, right? She said no. Of course she said no. You know, that's exactly okay. Check. Rejection
like,
quota for the day. Check.
Amazing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
2 weeks later rolls around.
Yeah.
She got her peanut butter balls. She's like, I packed you some. You know? Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, I know.
Start the car.
It was the most random. I was not expecting to get peanut butter balls when I asked, but I got them. Not when I wanted them. A few big lessons there. One is like sometimes rejection's temporary.
Yeah.
Someone might say no to you in the moment, but I come back to you, right?
Be like, hey, I got some time. Hey, I was thinking about this. I looked into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It works, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how it kind of
totally. And then a bunch of cool things.
I'm doing in a bit,
totally.
so.
Yeah, I would love to hear about it. And then same thing with girls. Like I've already auto rejected myself. Like, oh, this babe won't want to talk to me. She's out of my league.
Hype her up a bit.
Yeah.
Downplay
But then
yourself.
I'm like, well, whatever. She says no. I'm at the same point. And then like I got these girls. I'm like, wow, I got a babe. I'm so excited. Yeah,
this is crazy.
Yeah. So
amazing, dude.
I did it for girls, but then it translated everywhere. And then
very much. Yeah.
when I was a physics teacher at. I got a bunch of them. Like I can go on. I'll give you this last one. I'll listen to you after.
Perfect.
But I did Wonderland, and I was a physics teacher. And when the Yukon Striker, the roller coaster.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, "Can we meet the engineer?" Like, why not? So they're like, "Okay."
That's
like, come
the
here.
coolest field trip of all time.
And then they opened the park before we got there. And we got to ride the Yukon Striker twice before the park.
Come on.
I know. Well, I was expecting it.
Because you're like, I want to get rejected, so I build the resilience, right? But you're like, what's the most ridiculous thing I could add?
And then just recently, before this swim, I did the same thing. Jillian Bell, she recently swam Lake Ontario.
Amazing, yeah.
So I reached out to her on Instagram. She's like, she's not going to answer me.
Yeah.
And she did. Yeah, she's like, good luck on your swim, Awesome.
That's
she messaged me a few times. Yeah.
amazing.
So.
I've had similar experiences, but I was talking to a friend of mine. He's like, dude, if you're afraid of that, re-download Instagram. Ask 5 people a day for a month. 5 different people a day who you've never had on the show, who, whether they follow you or don't, or you're like, well, maybe they're more follow, whatever. Re-download it. Go to their page. Ask them. Ask everybody. You have to have 5 people.
Put yourself out there, yeah.
Just go and do it. And he's like, it'll be easier to be consistent that way. But he's like, the people that might say yes will blow your mind. And I'm like, we'll see.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like doing that stuff and then seeing like how that manifests, and it's a really cool thing.
Keep at it, because for me it was life changing, and I still pull from it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's I want to use it like consistently, and in Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week, another great.
Oh
podcast.
yeah, that's a great podcast. I love that. Yeah.
Dude, he's probably my favorite podcaster, like host. She's just like, if I could be half as good as that show, I'm happy.
Nice.
So yeah, man. What he kind of says is there's like there's comfort zone challenges.
Ask him. Just send him an Instagram message. Worst case scenario, doesn't answer you because you're expecting,
Yeah, that's a good point. I will, for sure. But
whatever. If you don't expect an answer,
tonight.
check.
I haven't asked my 5 today yet. So anyways, that's I think he's he does this comfort zone challenge in the book, right? And he's like one where it's like walk up or he's like go to a crowded place and lie down for a minute.
Just because it's weird, awkward?
Just because it's uncomfortable and people will notice you.
Yeah.
Just,
they're like, are you okay?
Yeah. Comfort zone.
The conversation started?
Nobody's going to lie down in the middle of the night, right? Everybody's walking. You do anything out of just walking normally. Wow, what's going on? You walk and lie down in the middle of like New Sudbury Shopping Center during like a busy time, whatever, Black Friday, and you just lie down.
You're going to get some looks, definitely.
You're going to get some looks. It's going to be uncomfortable, but you build that.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like go up and ask X amount of people for their number. Guy, girl, it doesn't matter. Same idea, right?
Yeah.
It's that fear of rejection, I think, is building the resilience is huge.
We evolved to have it. Like, I'm like a scientist, a scientific background. Mm-hmm. So, like, we were like, when you're in a tribe, like when you're living in the woods, if you get rejected, you're dead. If you're ejected from your tribe.
Right.
I think that's why that fear is so big. Right. But now it's not the case. Like, you got so many services to keep you alive. If you get rejected from a school, big deal. If the girl turns you down, you don't have like one other tribe to go to. Yeah. You've got like a huge...
You don't have to bring only her back to your tribe.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a cool thing. It's a cool thing.
It's awesome. Keep at it. And let me know. I'd love to hear about
Brother, I will.
stories that come out from there.
We're staying in touch about this for sure. There's a few things. Like, I think I'm just really stoked. I'm really stoked to see how that comes to fruition. So
totally. You'll get some stuff you never thought you'd get.
Whanipitae swim. Kind of shifting.
So started out.
Yeah.
Pat gave me a good thing. I loved it.
Yeah.
Like when he saw I was afraid, I told him I was afraid. He knew I was afraid.
Yeah,
like,
he's got a bunch of good ones.
He's like slaying giants today. You're just going out to slay a giant, one stroke at a time. Same thing. Well, I've done that like ultras and stuff. So you don't focus when you focus on the whole big picture. It's overwhelming.
It's terrifying.
So you just focus on that single moment, and if that eventually that moment, like 1 second, if you keep counting 1 second, it would eventually be whatever you need to do. So,
yeah, that's true.
So got out, got swimming. The first 6K was good. I refused to touch the boat. I did not touch the boat one time.
I
Love that.
I did not touch the boat. I did not.
That.
They're like, come grab the boat. I was like, no, I refuse.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. I have so much more. Like, I had an immense amount of respect for your accomplishment. Hearing that, double that. That's intense.
Yeah.
Like, there's no. It's like you're on your own.
It's me.
They're
literally
there.
swimming.
Yeah. And that's that reassurance, right?
For
like
sure.
having them there, because then if shit hits the fan, they're there.
Yeah, they need to be there to be safe, right?
For sure. You can't be on the water by yourself.
Yeah. So didn't touch the boat once. Pat would toss me bananas. Bananas were not bad. I had banana bread. They had like this little plate that they'd float out to me that I would like take, but like as soon as a wave hit, my banana bread was like dissolving, and I had to try to eat my banana bread before it like dissolved away. So,
gross.
Yeah, I had a lot of liquid calories.
Yep.
I was treading water and eating awkwardly, especially when the waves picked up. About 6K in when the waves picked up.
Yeah. About halfway, almost.
About halfway. Yeah. I mean, it was crystal clear of some parts of it, and then other parts that sorry.
I'll get it.
Yeah, other times it picked up, and then but after 6K is when it really got tough. I'm not sure if you watched any of the videos like the Coop took.
Yeah.
Did you have the sound on when you watched them?
I think so. Yeah.
Coop from Pure Country took a video, and you could just hear the wind at the beginning. Like the first minute, he's like, "I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't," because the wind was just howling, right?
Yeah, you're on a lake.
Yeah,
and it's a big lake.
And Whanipitae, the waves picked up. So I gave the decision to pull me. I didn't want that decision in my power because I was in an all or nothing mindset.
Right,
I was going to get this done at all costs, which is not a safe mindset because the lake can get dangerous.
Yeah.
So I gave that decision to Dan. I'm like, you have the permission to pull me out, but only pull me out if you gotta. Like, I'm ready to swim through a freaking tsunami.
Dude, 100%, you have to be, right?
That's the mentality I had, right? So 6K in, the waves pick up. There's some big white caps. They're hitting me on my dominant breathing side, so kind of like cross waves mostly. So I have to like time my breathing. I didn't breathe on my weak side, I just kind of time my breathing between waves. Just an extra element of being like tossed around. And then I got cut in some kind of current. So some strong sort of stream that like you couldn't see, but I felt. And we hadn't named the boat, but after swimming in that bit for a long time, I think it was Chris that came up with the name. We named it the Struggle Bus because that's second half. Yeah, we call it a struggle bus because the second bit of the swim was a struggle. It was tough. They called it also the treadmill because I was swimming in place.
Yeah.
I was like maybe 4 hours in. I was tired. I dialed up the intensity. And I was still getting nowhere.
Jeez.
I swam for a full hour and I got nowhere.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I pulled from my training a bit because I swam up Vermilion River. And I got to Vermilion Lake eventually. And it felt like I was going nowhere, but I was making progress. So I'm like, maybe it's just that. Maybe it feels like I'm getting nowhere, but I'm making some progress. But I could feel it sucking me back. When I took the break after an hour, I was getting blasted back and then get at it. And then I see them all talking, and I'm like, shit, this ain't good. Like, are they talking about calling it?
Yeah.
Are they calling it? Like, the conditions are pretty bad right now. I'm stuck in this current for an hour going nowhere. I just let them know. I'm like, what's going on? Just talk to me. Are you guys talking about calling it? I need some help. I need some support. I need you guys to pump me up because I'm digging and I got nothing. So they all started cheering. All three started cheering me, pumping me up, giving me that energy, feeding up. I call Chris Cacciatti the king of hype.
Nice.
He is. If you need a hype man, Chris Cacciatti's your guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is the best. I love Chris. He's got this energy about him that I just absolutely love. And the part that was the most powerful, like for me, spiritual. Like Evie was part of it. He was part of the accomplishment for me. So Chris took out a picture of Evie, and every time I went to breathe, I was looking at Evie.
Yeah.
And I was able to dig to a place that I didn't know I had. I was able to dig deeper when I thought I had nothing.
Right.
And I'm reflecting, and I don't know how I got out of that current. I don't know if I outpowered it, which I don't know. Maybe it shifted. Maybe I eventually shifted outside. I give it to Evie.
You outpowered it.
Maybe. I mean, that's badass.
Oh, man, sounds like it.
I picked up the intensity even more, so somehow I got out of it.
And
when I got out of that current, it felt like I got launched forward. Like you play video games like Mario Kart, like the speed boosters.
Yeah.
It felt like I hit one of those.
Nice.
It stopped, like I was getting sucked back, and all of a sudden I launched forward. And then for the last kilometer and a half, I had the waves kind of pushing me directly in my back. I'm like, it's done. Like I got this now. No
Yeah.
questions, no doubts. And when I stepped onto the beach, it was really cool. My whole family and friends, and CTV was there, and Coop from Pure Country was there, and they were all cheering me on, hyping me up, and
Nice.
it was really cool to come out to some hugs and
That's cool.
know that they waited on
Yeah.
the beach.
Brother, the photos looked epic.
Pat took
Yeah.
some amazing pictures.
I told him that too after. I was like, he sent me the. I
It looks
asked
like
him-
Rocky, the one
Dude, it
coming
was
out.
so
Like,
good.
it was
We'll,
yeah.
We'll erect a statue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That picture was awesome.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
And I think I asked him. I was like, dude, like, do you? He's like, dude, I brought my camera. I was
Yeah.
like, yes, you did. He's
Yeah.
like, don't, because I always tell him before he does these things. I'm like, brother, don't forget to bring your camera.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking through the phone lens. Take better photos.
The camera's nice.
And
Yeah.
his camera's nice. He
Yeah.
takes good shots. He's been like working it as a skill
Oh,
too, like
the-
here and there.
yeah,
Right? So
the-
it's so much better
so
than when
many
the
good
first.
ones.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man! So it was so good, and he captured the moments, and there's a lot of emotion in the photos that you can
Totally,
see. And
totally.
looking at some of them, and like the you hugging Chris. 'Cause
Oh.
he sent me the folder
Yeah.
because I
No,
asked for it.
I broke
And it's
down
like
at the
you,
end.
like him
Yeah.
hugging Chris. The photos of like Chris cheering you guys, and the smiles in the boat, and the smiles on your face as you're going. It was just a very, very emotional. It looked like a very, very emotional
It
experience.
was a very emotional swim.
For sure.
It was a very emotional swim. And when I hit that beach, I was tired, but it was still good to go, you know. I, went straight into 2 interviews.
Nice.
And when my boat crew had to go around to dock the boat, and then when Chris came, I hugged Chris and I sobbed. Like, I just broke down. There's a lot of emotion, like, holding both extremes, holding joy, accomplishment. What we had done, raised $12,000,
Yeah.
helped kids, give Evie a legacy. It's kind of cool to be on the news, kind of cool to be radio and paper, all that.
Yeah.
Holding the high, living the high, but also the grief and pain I know he's going through, and that I'm kind of living through him because I'm hurting because he's hurting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that picture definitely captured it. It was an emotional day for sure.
Intense.
And then hearing Chris give an interview and talk about Evie after, Chris gave a CTV interview and he spoke beautifully too.
Yeah.
Like I said, a lot of respect for Chris, and I'm
So much, man.
he's such an
Lovely
inspirational
guy.
guy,
Yeah.
such an energy about him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very, very contagious.
yeah.
Very. I think that that's intense. That's very intense.
It was, yeah. And now it's
All
kind of
extremes,
cool
like you said.
coming out. Now I've got some opportunities opening up because of that.
Yeah.
I've got some sponsorships coming in, which is really
Hey,
exciting.
that's sick.
So I've already
Way
got
to
the
go,
adventure
man.
plan for
Congrats.
next year, which I'm not ready to say yet. But
Yeah, I look
I'm-
forward to hearing what
yeah.
happens, so for sure.
Now it's like I'm living the high still, but like I won't talk about all this stuff. But like Michael Phelps, you got the low after. You contrast to what you did.
Yeah.
So pulling out of the low a bit, and also like wondering, do I want to take this next step? The opportunities are there. Do I want to keep pushing? I think the answer is yes. But I think
You know the answer is yes,
I
brother.
know,
Come on.
I
You
know.
know you're like,
It's just,
what's the most
it
extreme
came
thing
with
I
a lot
can
of
do?
sacrifice, right, to get this done.
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
And ultimately, I'm looking for a relationship, and it's kind of hard to start a relationship when I'm that all in on something.
That makes sense, yeah.
I think it puts tension, especially like in a new relationship.
Yeah, it's tough to
You know?
develop and build it if...
Exactly.
For sure.
Which I guess if it's got a finish line, I know it's temporary, and I'll find that. Or if I find an athlete that's like willing to train with me and stuff,
Or someone, even I found people on the opposite end who are like completely different. There's a support that they have,
Yeah, the mental support.
right?
And,
Yeah, and they're able to support and understand just kind of how bad you want something. And when somebody truly like loves who you are and loves that, they'll love that part about you.
Yeah.
Right? And that kind of makes everything easier. It's ridiculous. Because I've had friends of mine who are in relationships or out of relationships who've gone through that where they're like, man, I'm trying to do this and I can't. It's just, and I'm like, well, you're training suffering too, because
Yeah.
now you're always anxious about going and you don't want to piss her off. But
Yeah, it
them
is. You
off,
gotta
yeah.
if you're in a relationship, like if you're an athlete, like that's a lot of time
Yeah.
out of the house,
For sure.
dedicated to this. So like ultimately, I want a relationship, but it's tough to start one with that. Definitely an
yeah,
obstacle.
it's just a matter of, and like you said, it's
And then if I do this again
balance.
for another year, I'm pushing it back. Well, I mean, it may happen, but
yeah, you never know.
yeah.
It could be one of the things that manifests.
Maybe
out
one of
there,
your
right?
listeners.
Maybe.
That's amazing.
I guess, yeah. If I'm going to finish with two things, I guess I've said what I think I've had to say. Unless you got questions, but if I'm going to leave with two things, like this is a question I've been meditating a lot because I'm a philosopher, right? Spiritual guy. So the question I've been meditating a lot is, what do I want the meaning and purpose of my life to be?
Right.
What do I want my life to say? What do I want the message for it to send? Mm-hmm. And I've come with two. Like that's the two that I want.
Nice.
Number one is I want to be a light to dark places.
In light, dark places?
No, I want to be a light for dark places.
I'm with you.
You know?
Light for dark places.
I hope that someone's listening here who's where I was, were absolute bottom. And, you know, just has the belief that that journey is possible and starts it.
Yeah.
You know? Consoling Chris going through the grief. You know? I do camp quality, kids that have cancer. There's a lot of darkness in this world. And I saw that as a brother, you know? And you could just collapse. There's so much darkness.
Oh, I can only imagine.
But you got to be a light despite that, you know? So I want to be a light. I hope to, you know, hear back from someone to say, like, you know, this small thing you said changed my life. You know, they got to do it themselves, obviously. But I want my life to be inspirational. I think it is really inspirational, all the things I've done and the journeys I've made. And the other thing is I want to show people that they're capable of so much more than they think.
Yeah. They just got to start.
Yeah, I want people to do things that they thought was impossible. Because if they look at me and do things that they thought were impossible, then it opens up that possibility for themselves of what's possible for me.
Right.
So the next one I got planned, I won't say much, but it's more insane than Whanipitae. Much more.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It's very exciting because I've got the team. I'm building my team right now. Once I've got my team, I'll be ready to announce it once I know I have the team. But I'm looking for one key member that I still have a role to fill.
Yeah? What's kind of your
well, let's say rejections. I got nothing. So I learned the strength of currents. So I'm looking for a captain with a boat.
Interesting.
And for big water. That's what I'll say. Captain for boat for big water. Someone who knows currents and navigation. Because I've learned that I can't outpower the elements. Right?
No.
I can't outpower Mother Nature.
No, you can't.
So that's the biggest element that I'm looking for. But it's fun. Kim has been sponsoring my treatments, which is amazing. Pat as well. Yeah. And she's putting me in contact with a bunch of other people. It's just really exciting that all these people believe in me. You know, which obviously helps me believe in myself. Yeah. So I guess for some of your listeners, maybe you don't believe in yourself, but I believe in you. You know, I really hope that pushes you and eventually you learn to believe in yourself and that you will do things you never thought possible. It doesn't have to be athletic. Maybe it'll be academic. Maybe it'll be life related. Like whatever it is. I just want to open up the realm of what you think is possible and attainable for you.
I love it. I love it, Matt. So with that being said, where can people hear your story and find out more and connect with you and stuff? Laying out the red carpet, where can people get a hold of you and find you?
I guess I post a lot about my swims on social media. I usually do mostly Facebook, but I use Instagram as well.
Nice.
I got
right on.
They could just punch my name into Facebook, and there it is. It's me, picture me swimming, and there, go at me, go ahead.
Awesome.
And same thing with Instagram. It's my name, Matthieu, Matthieu _ Robert, ROBERT _ Bonin, last name BONIN.
Nice.
And there you go, you can add me there too. And if you want to keep following the swimming journey, so if I went from 50 meters to Whanipitae in 8 months, what can I go from Whanipitae to? That's the question.
Dude, I'm so stoked to hear about it. Stoked to follow along and help spread your message. And I just am grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for having me.
Brother.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great to be able to share my story, and it feels good to talk about it.
Awesome. All the links obviously will be in the descriptions. I'll share them and stuff and get to do what I can with what I got. So I really appreciate your time, brother.
It was great.
Right on.
It was a lot of fun.
Right on. Awesome.